Today's lesson is going to focus on sales tax and commission. And a lot of today's lesson in class is spent discussing these topics with the students and watching some YouTube videos. So there aren't a lot of notes to do in the notebook. But we do have one little half sheet of notes. So please update your table of contents for page 37. But what we start off with in the class is, what is sales tax? Why does California charge buyers sales tax? And I have the students think about and talk in their groups about the answers to these questions based on their prior knowledge. Then I showed them a video about sales tax on YouTube. You could search it on YouTube as "What is sales tax?" But I've also included the link on the Google slide that you should have found this video from. So here's a receipt that I found online for Walmart. The question is, what is the sales tax percent? And what do you notice happens to the total cost of the purchase based on the sales tax? So if you're looking at the receipt, lots of information on this receipt, but it does say tax. And here in Georgia, it is an 8% sales tax. And so this digital watch that somebody bought for $12.88 has a tax of 77 cents. And you'll notice the total cost of the purchase has increased to $13.65 because of the tax. Here's another receipt I found online, this one from Arizona. So the question, this already had a circle around it. We see our sales tax and we see a subtotal and a total. The percent isn't listed on this one, so it just tells us the total without a percent. So we'd have to calculate the percent. And I also want to point out the ends on the receipt. So these ends represent non-taxable items. So soda and beverages like this Minute Maid lemonade are not taxable. So in this subtotal here, you notice this is also another one for Diet Coke. The subtotal here is not the full amount is getting taxed because these items will not be taxed. So the $17.85 only applies to these other two items from Home Depot. So here's a screenshot from the California Tax Service Center online, just to show you what things are considered subject to sales tax. So you have furniture, giftware, toys, antiques, clothing, and then things that are exempt and will not be taxed. Things like certain food products for human consumption. Usually candy isn't taxed, for example. Sales to the U.S. government from the state of California, so the government doesn't have to pay tax, and prescription medicine and medical devices. So looking up the sales tax for Martinez, California, there's a general sales tax, which is 6%. That's from the state of California. That's the tax rate. But then we also have the county rate, which adds 0.25%. The city of Martinez has a tax, which is 0.5%. And then there's a special rate, which is another 2%. And what that special rate means, I'm actually not quite sure. I'd have to do some more research on that. But the total for Martinez then on an item is 8.75. 8.75% is the sales tax. So where does sales tax go? So we have to pay sales tax on many of the items we purchase, and the state and the county and the city, different parts are getting this money. So looking up online, I found that roughly 25% usually goes to schools and public education. So thank you, because it helps pay for my job. About 16% goes towards children's health care and like Medicaid. So this is to help children that might not have like insurance from their parents so that they are getting medical coverage. And then 35% goes to a number of different things. Some of these things are environmental projects like parks and recreation, the police department, fire department, jails, foster care, and medical facilities. So the taxes are going towards important things. So as long as our government is using the money wisely, then it's important for us to have sales tax. So here is a meme I found that kind of jokes about how you also have to pay sales tax on an item you win. So in class, I show this video by Richard Fowler. You could search it on YouTube. And he talks about how the price is right, but the taxes are wrong. Because when you win on the price is right, you are going to have to pay the sales tax in order to get your item. So for example, if you won a car that was worth $35,000, you'd have to pay the taxes on the car. So the car is not free. It's a lot less than the total you'd have to pay at the car dealership, but you do have to pay the taxes because the state of California still wants the taxes that they would have earned on the sale of the car. So for example, a $35,000 car, if the taxes are 15%, that means the amount you would owe for your prize is $5,250. So to get the car, you would have to pay $5,250. Here's another example from an article I found about a winner who won a new truck, a washer and dryer, an Apple computer, a poker table, and a trip to Washington, D.C. So his prizes were valued at $57,000, and he had to pay around $17,000 in taxes. So if we want to see what percent that was, we would take the $57,000, which is the total. He had to pay $17,000. So if we divide $17,000 by $57,000, we will get 0.298, and it continues on forever because it's not a nice even decimal. But if we multiply this by 100 to convert it into a percent, we're going to see that it's almost 30% that he had to pay in taxes based on his prizes. So yeah, he's getting a lot of things for less money, but they're not free. Okay, now we've made it to the note sheet. Example 1 is going to be based on a sales tax of 8.5%. This is because Martinez's tax rate used to be 8.5% a couple years ago when I made the note sheet, and I didn't change it to 8.75%. So we're going to go ahead and use the sales tax of Martinez as 8.5%. If you buy a $900 TV, how much will you have to pay in sales tax? So our setup is we're going to be taking 8.5% on a $900 TV. So that's the total amount. So we're going to have 8.5%. So over 100 equals something over $900. So if we convert 8.5% into a decimal, you're going to have 0.085. Make sure you have the 0 here. Then we're going to do 900 times 0.85, and we're going to get 76.5. And this is money, so we need to write $76.50. And then part B to this problem is how much is the total cost of the TV with sales tax? So $76.50 is not the cost of the TV. The TV costs $900 before tax. So you have to add the cost of the TV and the tax. And so at the register, when you check out, you would have to pay $976.50. Okay, the bottom part of the notes is about commission rate. So we need to, first of all, talk about what a commission is. So there's all types of jobs that are paid a commission. Teachers, definitely not. Doctors, definitely not. But jobs that do have a commission rate are ones where they're going to earn money based on how much they sell. So here's like a picture of a used car salesman, or any type of car salesman will get a commission. Realtors, people that sell homes, they make a commission. Stock market brokers, they get a percent of the earnings they earn for their clients. A loan officer, so when your parents or family members or myself as a homeowner, when we had to get a loan, the loan officer got a percent of the amount we borrowed. So here's another example of a commission. Makeup salespeople like Avon or Mary Kay, they get percentages based on their sales. So if they sell anything from $0 to $50 for an order, they get nothing. But anything from $50 to $150, they're going to make 20% of that. So they're definitely encouraged to sell bigger orders because they're going to get a higher percent. So when they get to the point of selling over $1,575, they're making half of that as their commission. So for example, if a rep sells $200 worth of makeup, they're going to make 30% of that. So 30%, they're going to get paid for that sale. So I didn't do the math here, but if we do 200, I'm going to type it on my calculator. 200 times 0.3, that's $60. So they make $60. And another easy way, I don't know why I used a calculator, 100 times 2 is 200, 30 times 2 is $60. So silly me, not even noticing the quickest way to solve this one. So here's how it can feel, especially if you're a realtor and you receive a really big commission check. So for the note sheet part, example 2A, a realtor's commission rate is 6% on the houses she sells. If she sells a house for $405,000, how much will she earn in commission? So 6% of $405,000, excuse me. We take our percent as a decimal, which is 0.06, and multiply by $405,000. So that's $24,300. And that is how much a realtor could make on the sale of a house. Usually the commission rate is a little bit lower than 6%, but still making thousands of dollars. So 2B, how much is the owner of the home gain from the sale of the house? So the owner has to pay the realtor from their sale. So they do not get the full $405,000 from the sale of their home. They have to pay the realtor. So we have to subtract that amount, and they are left with $380,700. So still a lot of money, but you have to realize they're paying $24,300. So essentially that's how much they have lost in order to pay the realtor. So just quickly to talk about commission versus a salary. So commission is getting a percent on what you sell versus a salary is guaranteed income based on number of hours worked or total time worked. So you could work 40 hours, and if you don't sell anything for a commission, you'd make nothing. So if you're on a job that is purely commission based, like a realtor, if you're not selling any homes, you're not making any money. Versus a salary, if you're guaranteed to earn $15 per hour, if you work 40 hours, you're going to make $600. So a salary, if you're paid per hour, you're going to make the money if you put in the time. Versus a commission, you could put in a lot of time and not make any money. But the flip side of it is you could put in very little time and get lucky and make a lot of money from the sale of an item. Okay. For example, here you go. You could work 40 hours and sell that house and you've made $24,300. So it's going to depend on how much you're selling. And that's all we're going to get to in class.